All right, hello everybody again. I'm Alex.
And I'm Alex.
And this is our podcast, Joel. All right, so, yeah.
Joel. It's called Joel.
That's the name of our podcast.
Yeah.
So we are 2
Kind of
weeks.
accepted that.
We are 2 weeks removed from our last podcast because Nathan was in Wisconsin last week without telling me.
Right. Well, I think
Alex.
I think I did tell you, but it wasn't like, right.
You probably told me like a few weeks in advance, and I
That
just
I would
forgot.
be going. I think what I told you though probably was that I had an interview on Friday, not that I would be leaving on Thursday.
Ah, yes, that may be the case.
So you may have known that at least, but because you weren't super surprised to find out that I was going at all.
Correct.
It was just that I was gone then.
Yes.
Anyway,
so here we are again.
Yeah, we're back.
So we've decided to ditch the format of our podcast, our question and answer idea.
Right, because nobody was asking us questions.
Yeah, all the questions, the 2 questions we got were super shitty. So.
What Avenger are you?
Terrible question.
Actually, I do have a question related. You know how last week? No. You know how 2 weeks ago we talked about what makes something soup?
Yes.
Well, this isn't a question I necessarily want to discuss now. More of a comment.
Be careful then.
Okay. Well, some people have also considered the question, "What is a sandwich?"
Mm-hmm.
In the
yes,
lounge?
Well, we were talking about that on the field trip.
Yeah. So I just wanted to point out, I'm a little ashamed to admit this, but earlier today I ate a Hot Pocket.
Okay.
And on the wrapper for the Hot Pocket, as you prepare it in the microwave.
Oh, you saved the wrapper.
I saved the wrapper so that I could show this to you.
Uh-huh.
So it turns out that it tells you the cooking time. For one sandwich,
Holy
you put
crap.
it in for two. So Hot Pocket themselves claim that Hot Pockets are sandwiches.
See, it's not.
Like there's a conflict of interest here.
That's not the least. Wait, that's not the most absurd claim for sandwichhood that I've heard.
Right. It's actually more prominent than that. I never actually read this, but it says
Hot
Pocket
brand
sandwiches.
Yeah. See, I would have to know more about this outer crust here to know whether or not I would think it would be a sandwich.
Yeah. Well.
Because one of the things we were talking about is it has to be bread, like a taco, like in a tortilla shell, is not a sandwich. It's like a taco.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that's because my argument for that was that the tortilla shell is not bread; it's like a tortilla, which is different.
But couldn't you argue that tacos are a subset of sandwiches that have hardened bread?
I mean, tortillas aren't hard.
Well, tacos are technically hard.
Yeah, you could try to argue that, but I would disagree with you.
And I would disagree with you.
Okay.
I think it's super subjective, right? Like, do you accept that tortillas are enough of bread to constitute taco-based things being sandwiches?
I mean, is it different chemically?
And would a taco in a tortilla?
Doesn't have yeast, right? Otherwise, it would rise.
Would a taco in a tortilla if you made that a sandwich? Would you then have to include a taco in a hard shell? Would that also have to be a sandwich?
Wait, if yeast is a differentiating factor, does that mean what is that bread that
Flatbread?
Jewish people make that doesn't have yeast? What is it called? No, pasta.
Yes.
So if you make a sandwich with that's not a sandwich?
A resident Jew answered that question.
His name is Ethan. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really intend to get into this debate now. I just wanted to point out that Hot Pockets call themselves sandwiches.
Okay, so before we announce the new format, there was a sports team you wanted to talk about.
Right. So it's actually a category of sports teams, I think.
Uh-oh.
So I was considering this a while ago when this was actually still relevant. So at this point, of course, the NCAA basketball tournament has wrapped up for the year.
Right.
Actually, the entire season is over, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to discuss what's going on right now. But I just wanted to highlight one team's performance in the tournament, and then I can kind of generalize to a broader class of teams.
What's the team?
The team is Duke, everybody's favorite lovable underdogs. It was truly heroic how they kept scraping by teams, and really unfortunate when they.
As far as all the sentiment on the internet I saw about that, they were in wholehearted agreement with you that they were very happy that Duke won all those games in such a close fashion.
Right. That's all my research. I don't actually know very much about their team. I'm just in awe of some of their incredibly talented and very wholesome players.
Right.
Both on the court and off the court. They're all really, really nice people. I couldn't find anything negative about them, about their coach, their program. It's just.
Can you name 2 of their players?
Well, there's Zion Williamson. And there's also some other guys who aren't him.
Okay, yeah. So I can see you've put a lot of research into this.
When you think about it, really, what's significant about this Duke team? It
was really good.
They were really good, and it's not like they were the top recruits. Were they the top recruits?
Yeah, they were the top recruits.
Well, if you think of them as not being the top recruits, though, it's really impressive.
Ah, that's a good point. No, actually, I didn't even think of it that way. Not sure why.
I think what you need to do is remove all context and just think
and
about
just agree with you.
how fortunate those players were to participate in such a such a successful season.
Yeah.
With a school and a basketball program that, correct me if I'm wrong, but is.
You're almost certainly wrong.
Yeah, I won't even finish that statement.
Anyway, how did you want to generalize that?
Yeah, so I wanted to generalize just in terms of the other. There's teams you've probably heard of, but they're the underdogs in this sport. So
right.
You've got Duke basketball, Alabama football. Everybody always hates to see them lose because they're such a
You know what other team comes to mind? The Golden State Warriors.
The Golden State Warriors, man, can you think of another group of people who are more deserving of all of the good things that have come their way?
I cannot think of a single.
The New England. Thank you, the Patriots.
No. The Warriors are more deserving than the Patriots.
No, I completely agree with that. But the Patriots are another team that fits this category.
See, I feel like I feel like the Patriots, like for like 90% of the Patriots players, they're just lucky to be on the Patriots.
That's really true.
10% are the ones that like actually make the Patriots really good, and then the other 90% are just like, where it happened to be on the same team as Tom Brady and Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to see those two, for example, get just a whole new group of other players that are, obviously NFL caliber players,
right,
but not the guys that they have, and see if they can replicate the success. You can't.
Well, I think we'll find out. Well, in a few years when Tom Brady retires.
Right.
I don't know that Belichick will retire. So.
Right. Well, it's my sincere hope that they continue their success, because it's been really tough as an outside observer to watch them. Struggle every once in a while.
Yeah, like losing the Super Bowl. For example, last year.
A couple times
to the Eagles.
Yeah, it's tough. Man, imagine losing to a Philadelphia sports team. That's got to be
That must
crushing.
be devastating, but as a supporter of Philadelphia sports teams, I've never experienced that.
Yeah.
Yep, my teams have never lost to a Philadelphia sports team.
Well, they can, you might say that they lost themselves, right? Like
They lost to their own incompetence.
yeah. They maybe they chose to, like, there was a time not too long ago when the 76ers were just the worst team
One of the
ever.
worst. Well, they were not the worst team. They were tied for the worst team ever.
Okay, well, that's still the worst team
Yes,
ever.
10-72.
Yeah. So, I mean, if that's not beating yourself, what is?
Well, okay, we don't need to get into this. Fair enough.
Yeah,
Anyway,
so-
we can move on to the next portion of our podcast,
All
which is
right.
our weekly reminder that you owe me $1.
That's totally fake. I changed who I was betting on.
It's recorded on here. You betting on the losing person.
I think what's recorded is me giving an example of what a bet
No.
would be, because you weren't understanding. And
No.
then when it came time to really bet,
I don't think I ever said
made it
anything of the sort of
very
me
clear.
not
clear.
understanding. You did not make it clear whatsoever. I'm pretty sure you said the words "I changed my bet," which indicates that you admit you previously bet on the other person.
I wanted to base my phrasing in such a way that you would understand what I was trying to do rather than what I was actually doing, which was just betting uniquely on the winning person from the beginning, which is...
All right, raise your hand if you think that he actually owes me $1. All right, let it be known that everyone who heard me is raising their hand.
No, these guys didn't.
They didn't hear me. He said, "What did I say?"
Put your hand down.
Okay, were you at the Stockmaster games? Like 2 weeks ago. So
Wait,
he went.
yes, I was.
You were.
Yeah.
So did you hear us
My life's
talking?
a blur.
Did you hear him? So he made a bet with me.
I did hear this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he owes me $1. He lost the bet, right?
I didn't lose the bet
You did
because I
lose the
changed
bet.
who I was betting.
You can't change who you're betting on.
Raise your hand.
And by the way, you just once again admitted that you changed who you were
I'm
betting
just
on.
using the language that you're using. I feel like this is entrapment or something.
Raise your hand.
This should be
if-
illegal.
I'm just using the language that you originally
The wording
used.
of the original bet.
The original,
That's important.
the original
I don't
wording-
remember exactly,
okay, the
but it
original
is
wording
recorded
was-
because we were
Yeah,
podcasting
it was
then too.
it was something very close to. I bet you $1 that. Who did you bet on initially, Albert or Carly?
Definitely Albert.
No, you didn't bet on Albert. Oh yeah, you bet on Costa at
was
the beginning.
Costa,
Yeah,
and then he
You
was
were like,
terrible.
Yeah,
Why would you
yeah.
bet on cost?
It was an example
no,
bet.
because
he didn't.
he had-
So
no.
I said let's bet on this, and he said how would you bet on this? Because there's not like we would have to like make a betting line or something. My thought was, for example, I will bet $1 that Costa wins, and then his response to that was, and this is recorded as well, I will bet $1 that Costa doesn't win, and we said no, that's not how that works.
By the way, as someone who was bet on, you definitely did not say, for example, you said I bet on Costa.
It was in the spirit of an example.
All right.
Oh, why do you have to say that?
You have to make that clear.
All right. We're gonna do the survey now. Raise your hand if you think Nathan owes Alex $1.
Okay, let it be known that everyone is raising their hand.
Except for Albert, who is not listening.
He's not. He can't hear
Albert's
us.
also not listening. Let's go through this again.
Just
All right.
raise your
Albert.
hand.
Albert,
Raise
do you
your hand,
think
Albert.
Nathan owes Alex $1?
Yeah, he does. All right.
no context for
Anyway,
that.
we
This
can now
is-
move on to the next segment of our podcast. Now that everyone agrees with me.
Wow, I feel like
We should do
literally.
this every week.
Oh, we will. All right. So what we decided to do in discussions was to make up a movie plot and title and such.
Wait, so
So I think we're gonna need some audience participation for this. Yes, another movie. So we're gonna need.
since our first few were so successful.
Well,
we're
our
gonna-
first one.
Yeah, that too.
Oh, we remembered the name.
Yes,
Slippery when wet.
That's terrible.
it's pretty bad.
It's pretty. Anyway,
I want it to be clear that we didn't come up with it.
yeah,
but
we
I
didn't.
suppose once we
didn't
heard
come
it,
up
we
with
super
it, but
endorsed
we
it.
loved it. So
So
we
not
may
that
as well
much
have come
better.
up with it.
we wish we had come up with
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Cheesy title of a porno.
Yeah, that's pretty much the idea.
That's, for the record, not at all what the movie was about.
It was not a porno, but we thought it was funny because it sounded like that.
Yes.
Anyway,
Also, everyone involved with everyone in the cast would definitely be over 18.
yeah, we originally had
need
it
that
as
to
high
be clear.
schoolers, but then we changed it once we came up with the title.
Yep. It made less sense plot-wise when it wasn't.
All right,
in
we're
high
gonna
school,
move on
but-
from this before we get thrown out of this room. We're gonna need some audience. So we're
Yes.
gonna wait. Hold on.
Oh.
We're gonna need
No.
we're gonna need a genre
Okay.
and a topic.
Okay.
Do you think we need anything else?
We'll start there and
All right.
see
So
what we can
you want to
come
give
up
us a
with.
genre or topic, David?
Topic.
All right, topic. What's your
Amish
topic?
carpenters.
Amish carpenters?
I don't know. That seems very specific.
That does seem super specific. Also, like it would be more of a documentary.
Yeah, you can pick.
Unless there was like, what? So can you get what sort of conflict might there be in that situation?
Well, let's get the genre first before
All
we
right.
decide that. Okay, so actually, how about this? Pick Amish or carpenters. We're not going to do Amish carpenters.
Fine, carpenter.
Carpenter. All right, it'll be
Carpenters.
about carpenters, and we're going to need a genre from someone else.
Passion of the Christ.
Thriller.
Anyone else want to suggest a genre?
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi. All right.
Sci-fi about
A
carpenters.
sci-fi movie about carpenters.
All right, I wanna add a stipulation. I think the carpenters should actually be Amish.
I agree.
that would make this very interesting.
All right, so
So-
Movie about Amish people.
So a
All right.
sci-fi movie about Amish people where the Amish people are like totally not participating in any of the science anymore. They're just like still being Amish people, right? Because there's
Right.
not really,
well, I
you
feel
can't
like
really do much. There's no.
I feel like you could make it a. Oh, it's not a comedy, so I guess that wouldn't really
What
work.
if someone among them is a false Amish person and they're actually conducting science?
Ah,
Yes.
so it's a Amish carpenter who has ambitions to be a scientist.
Well, it also becomes.
Oh wait, that's a good one. Like he grows up and he hates being Amish, but that's what
Right.
everything is like. And so no. Okay, so here we go. Here's the story arc.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you know this, but when Amish people turn 18, they're sent out into like the real world to like live in the real world for a year.
Really?
And yes, and after that year, they can either choose to come back and remain Amish, or they can just stay out there. But if they do that, then they're just shunned by their friends and family, like everyone in the Amish community. So it's like it's a very tough decision, right? If you like
That's
the
crazy.
outside world, yeah.
I didn't-
So
wow.
so here's our story arc. So this guy grows up as a teenager. You know, he like hates the Amish part. Like he sees like people outside living these cool lives, and so he's 18. He turns 18. He leaves. And he goes into all this debauchery. It's kind of like the prodigal son, I guess. Goes into
Yeah.
all this debauchery and realizes, no. He realizes, and then
The movie's over then.
in the end, he realizes he fucked up, and he realizes the power of love in his family or whatever bullshit we want to do, and then
Yeah.
he goes back to being Amish and lives happily ever after.
Wait, so he goes back to being Amish at the end.
Well, it's like a heartwarming like.
He burns the village down.
I mean, he could go insane and just kill all the Amish people.
Right.
That doesn't really seem to fit sci-fi though.
Plot twist, it's a horror movie and he's the bad
What
guy.
if as what? Okay, how about this?
Okay.
That's all kind of like the prologue.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
So we go through that part pretty quickly, right?
Right.
And then so he decides, he loves his family, he wants to
Right.
come back. He comes back to being Amish, but he has all this experience, right, from the real world
Right.
where he was there for a year.
Uh-huh.
And then all of his family is either too young and hasn't been out to experience the real world, or they're like older and they don't really remember.
Right. It was like a lot has changed since then.
Right, a lot has changed. So he goes back to being Amish, and he's like the only person who's even remotely familiar with what's going on in the real world.
Uh-huh.
And then like aliens attack them or something.
Like just them or attack the whole
Like
world?
just the Amish for
Oh,
some
no.
reason. And then they have to like the rest of the world like doesn't notice or something. I don't know. Do you know what happens in Amish communities? I feel like they're pretty disconnected. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if aliens entered the Earth's atmosphere, everyone.
So where where do Amish people live? I feel like we need to do some research, and I think the best place to do
Oh
that
no, I know what you're gonna say.
is Wikipedia, because we hadn't had an article.
All right, let's do this.
I know for a fact that there are
All right, you
some
hold
Amish
this.
people
All
that
right.
live in Lafayette, Indiana, because they sometimes go to Sam's Club.
Wait a minute. That doesn't sound right. Can you be Amish and go to Sam's Club?
Yeah.
I've seen them at Sam's
Wait, I don't know. Amish.
Are currently less
Okay.
than the uncertainty given by the
Blah blah blah.
puts the,
Okay, we don't need to care about the history of
I've
Amish.
seen their wagon first.
Wait a minute. They took the wagon to Sam's Club?
Yeah, so I asked the lady, why the fuck is there a horse wagon? And she explained the whole Amish thing. And actually, that's how I learned about the existence of Amish people.
So you didn't know there were Amish people. Then you went to Sam's Club and saw their like wagon and horses in the parking lot of the Sam's Club. And that's how you learned of the Amish.
Yes.
What an experience. I wish I had been there for that. That sounds incredible too.
yeah, so theaters that would
I don't know when I first learned about the Amish. Does anybody know other than that excellent story? Does anyone know how they first learned about Amish people existing?
I mean, there's a
I
ton
saw
of.
people driving a cart and buggy on a road.
Yeah.
There's
And I
a.
was I was like 8,
Okay.
and that's when my parents told me that some people don't use electricity.
yeah.
There's a ton of Amish people in Pennsylvania, which is how I know about Amish people. We
Ah,
actually went
yeah.
on a tour of an Amish farm once.
That makes sense.
As people get really jaded and stuff.
Most Amish do not buy commercial insurance or participate in Social Security.
I think it's just because I'm an
Do they have to pay taxes? Do they make money? Or do they just like farm on their own?
Yeah, I think so. I think they make money.
So do they have to pay Social Security tax and they just don't like take any back? That sounds pretty
You do
unfortunate.
everything in envelopes. Because you could file for your taxes in mail.
Right, but the government, there's not like an option to like opt in to paying Social Security tax, as far as I know. And so I filled out my tax forms by hand this year because I had to file for 3 different states. Because I worked here and in Alabama, and then I'm a Michigan resident, so I had to do theirs just because. And they're like the amounts that I have to pay in taxes wasn't like stuff that I chose based on like whether I wanted to participate in things. It was just like, here's what you owe based on how much you made. So I don't know how, unless they have like some like universal exemption for Amish people. You can like file a form to be like, I'm Amish.
I don't think there's a thing for that. I've never heard of it.
Amish, is that associated with a specific religion?
Christianity.
But like a specific
What are you talking about?
I don't know, section or something?
I
Like
think they're their own kind of like
So-
section.
Amish people,
Uh-huh.
I'm wondering in their tax situation,
Ah.
if there's like some sort of religious exemption that they can get for some of their.
I feel like if there was a religious exemption for something like that, the televangelists would have taken a huge advantage of it.
They have.
That's probably I'm sure that
So
happens.
the
'cause-
the church itself doesn't have to pay taxes, but the people
Right.
that go to it still do.
That
'cause
makes sense.
A 501c3 has to be an organization. It can't be a private
Right.
person.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if any of our listeners are Amish. First of all, what? And second of all, please contact us to talk about
by mail.
being Amish. Yeah, send us something in the mail.
Messenger.
Send it to Alex and Alex at Joel the Podcast. PO. We'll have to get a PO box or something. We don't have like a place to mail.
Let's not
things.
get a PO box since we're both leaving in like a month.
Right. Just send it to David Lim at Purdue, 525 Northwestern Avenue, West Lafayette, Indiana 47907. They'll figure it out from there.
So, all right. So this is just kind of what we were discussing. This has nothing to do with the taxes. This is just what they use. Like we were talking about Sam's Club. So, modern technology is used selectively for fear that it may weaken the family structure. If any equipment does not maintain the principles they follow, it is banned. Anything which could promote sloth, luxury, or vanity is strictly prohibited. So, and actually, I was reading up here is they kind of can all agree on what is acceptable and what's not. So, like,
Are you
here-
suggesting
How many
that-
Amish are there?
how many Amish are there?
Alex,
What?
are you suggesting
About
that
330,000.
Sam's Club does not
Wow.
promote profanity?
Huh?
Are you suggesting that they agreed that Sam's Club does not promote profanity?
I don't know. I know nothing about the. All right. Anyway, so if the community as a whole agrees on that something should or should not be allowed, they can just agree on that, and then it goes on that.
So
way.
is this like the Amish community or like an Amish community?
Yeah. Are they compatible?
Are the
I think
Lafayette
it's
ones just
like
like
an-
Sam's Club is cool, but the Pennsylvania
Right,
ones
I think-
might be like
I think that's the idea. So like
You know,
the
like, screw
not,
Sam's
it's not,
Club,
it's
we
not like
better-
it's not like all Amish have like one unified set of beliefs about what kind of
Amish
technology
council.
is and is not allowed.
How do the Amish feel about Wawa?
How do the Amish? I don't know. Probably.
Are they,
Is it
are they
like
opposed to trampolines?
the yeah in East opposed to what?
Trampolines?
Trampolines?
Yes.
That seems like it would be too frivolous.
Yeah, I don't really know anything about being Amish, but it seems like it's a very what's the word I'm trying to think of?
Also, what happens if you
Like-
want to migrate from one Amish group to another?
Well,
That has to
the
happen.
Amish group that you're in is just your family,
Well, here
right?
you go. Proposal may be
So-
accepted for business reasons, but never for personal wishes, entertainment, or self-indulgences. That tells me that trampolines would most likely not be allowed.
Oh no.
any ideas David has of becoming Amish? Can you become Amish?
Yeah,
Do I have to like apply?
I think you were born an Amish.
Right. That's
It's a choice of lifestyle.
Yeah.
I think you can like join them.
so I could just choose to become Amish and show up to some community, and they'd be like, "You're Amish now. Just get rid of all your
I mean, they
stuff."
seem like a very friendly people.
Yeah.
As long as you're, following their way of life.
Okay, so they have like rules about facial hair,
Yeah,
or is that
I was
just like
thinking
is that a coincidence?
Is
Or
that
they all
just-
have like the same beard?
Is it just a popular style?
I think it
Or
has to do with relationship status.
oh,
Really?
I think so. I think hearing once upon a time that's like, if you're clean shaven, you're single, but if you have a beard, then like you're.
Yeah, here you go. Once boys marry, they are expected to grow a beard but shave their upper lip. Unmarried boys must be clean shaven.
What
So
about
why do they shave
what
the
if
upper
you're
lip?
incapable of growing a beard?
Then you're
mustaches
you.
are frowned upon because in German culture they have historically been associated with military officers. So,
All right. So anyway, we've done a little bit of research. So
yep, that's pretty reasonable. I think we can
thank
make
you, Wikipedia.
assumptions for all the rest of the
Go
things that
donate
we'll need to know.
$3.
Yep. Come on, it's $3.
I actually showed up to the Wikipedia office in San Francisco to give them $3.
Really?
Yeah.
Did they take it?
No, they turned us down at the front desk. So we just took that $3 and went to Firefox and gave them the money, and they took it.
Huh.
Who exactly did you give it to though? 'Cause
Okay.
it's hard to understand someone working there, like,
All right,
No,
cool.
so we
These
went
guys
to-
are just
We went to the receptionist at the Firefox office and presented the receptionist with a flower, a bottle of hot chocolate powder, and $3, and then just like handed it to him, and then he said, "Okay, I'll just pass it over to the team," and then we just walked away.
Uh-huh.
All right.
That doesn't sound like it's going to like support their product. It sounds like they're just going to give it to the people.
So
People
Wow.
build products.
yeah, I think they're just as cool as the product itself.
That's fair.
All right.
I wonder why
So
Wikipedia did.
we need a good conflict. So I
Yeah.
feel like aliens attacking is not ideal.
Really? Okay.
I feel like it would just be like, I want to say too implausible, but like too implausible.
Wait, are
What
Amish
about-
Like
people-
that,
Okay, are Amish people cool with microwaves?
microwaves?
Yes.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Microwave cooker, no.
Actually, definitely not because they don't like electricity.
Yes, they don't.
So you have to,
Okay,
like-
so they do use electricity for some things, like they're building a house, they can use power tools
Yeah.
to make it.
Okay.
It's just that they can't have electricity for like things that are not that are like what you said, like promoting like slothfulness and stuff.
Right. And I think cooking your own food over a fire or whatever
stove.
is.
So the
I think
genre-
a microwave, at least in my personal experience, microwaves induce me to be more lazy.
Yes.
'Cause I can just microwave stuff.
So
Did any of y'all see that TV show where Vanilla Ice became Amish and helped them build houses for a little bit?
Yeah.
It was great.
That was wild.
This is
Yeah.
Man.
this is a sci-fi movie.
Yes.
So why
Yeah.
don't we have microwave cookers with consciousness, an army of microwave
Okay.
cookers with consciousness invading an Amish town.
Okay. That's an interesting idea.
And we have to fight them.
Okay, so all right, so this guy goes out into the world
Yeah.
and he does something stupid, like he pisses off
Microwaves?
a sentient group of microwaves,
Man. That's.
but he doesn't. It doesn't.
He goes to Best Buy, looks around electronic stuff, leaves a microwave open, doesn't close it, and leaves the store.
Okay, that's like the worst
He
thing.
cooks soup in there without putting a covering on it.
Oh.
And leaves it.
Okay, anyway.
I just want to point out that my aliens idea was turned down for being too implausible, and here we are talking about sentient microwaves.
No, not too implausible that aliens could attack, actually. What I meant was too implausible that aliens could attack and no one else but these Amish people would notice or do anything about it.
So if it's a personal vengeance, then the rest
What
of
if
the
he
world
goes
really
and
cares
leaves the
about
village
it.
just to find that everyone else is already aliens?
Who telephones you will find that you?
But then he would become an Amish propaganda movie.
See, I'm liking the
Yeah, exactly.
I don't
Is that not what they're
necessarily think that microwaves are the best thing to have attack, but I like the idea of like he does something and some robots or something else like that attacks.
Okay. I think maybe those
Specifically the androids
See.
from Dragon Ball Z.
Or if you want to make the plot more complex with messages, you could have a sentient AI robot wanting to be an Amish in a community. And there's a debate about whether or not they should accept that AI.
I see. So you're going for a more like philosophical
That's an
kind
interesting
of movie.
idea, but my only reservation about that idea is it doesn't seem like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, that's
Like I guess it's like a
It's a
robot.
robot.
But I feel like
I think that would make a good Star Trek episode.
yeah, that's a good example.
Does he fall in love with the robot though?
Definitely.
Okay,
Yes.
Oh,
There's no love in it.
see, I'm just really excited now for a fight sequence of Amish people fighting robots.
I definitely want that.
Yes.
I think that needs to happen. So, we forget about the robot origin story. Maybe he goes and he works for like a company that makes like assembly line robots,
Uh-huh.
and maybe he's like brilliant, right?
Uh-huh.
So he's like really good, and he improves their AI to some degree, to where they're like sentient, but they don't quite realize it yet, and then he just like abandons them.
Right, because he goes back to
and
his,
he goes back to this lifestyle that just has nothing to do with them, and they like so they come to find him, and it's not like malicious at first,
robotic
but then
issues.
because he's committed himself back to the Amish lifestyle, he like rejects them for being too, technologically advanced,
Right.
and then they're offended and they try and destroy the Amish in order to force him to come back to.
Nathan,
right.
like
okay,
the
we've got our
All right,
premise.
you're
this is good.
describing robotic daddy issues.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, so he hasn't touched a computer for 18 years of his
Yes,
life,
that's
but
how-
then somehow becomes so
that's
good
how-
at computer science he can create
That's how
sentience.
smart he is.
He's a prodigy. Like, it's gotta happen sometimes, right? Like,
That's true.
there's like, child prodigies. They can, they'll pick it up really quickly and then they'll just be like, great. So maybe he's not like, he doesn't like sit down day one and do this, but like, after being exposed to the ideas, toward the end, he's like, what if we did this a little bit differently? And maybe it's not like the revolutionary ideas, but he has just like the one thing that clicks into place.
Right.
Gotcha.
All right. So here we go. So opening scene
Yep.
is an Amish farm.
Amish from sports too.
Okay, so everybody's working on the farm. This is
Yeah.
like where you have the credits rolling through, like of the people who worked on the movie,
Right.
just in different, and them showing different farming stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't
stuff
know
that
how
happens on a
Very
farm.
descriptive.
There's like animals and some corn and stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
somebody
I don't know.
riding it. Oh, I guess there would be no tractor. Somebody using a plow, something like that.
And there's like an ox pulling the plow.
Anyway, so at this point in the movie, he's like a young kid. Okay, so this opening scene is just to kind of introduce him, introduce his family, introduce the kind of lifestyle they lead.
Yeah.
And I feel like the opening scene, in the opening scene, he sees some kind of futuristic scientific thing,
Right.
like whatever the cars are going to be, like flying cars or whatever.
Sure.
And he's like, "Daddy, what's that?" And then the dad, explains what the deal is, and he's like, and you just at the end of the scene is just you see like him like looking longingly at it, like,
Yeah.
I want to be like that someday. And so then like cuts to the next scene. It's so he's now grown up. He's
Right.
He's 18 and he's leaving.
Right.
And he is excited to leave.
Yeah.
Actually, should we have more stuff in between there? Or
I
no?
think you need it. I think you need to build the connection a little bit more. So like,
Right.
I like the. I don't think we need to like jump straight to the like, what's that type, like revelation of the outside world type thing. I think it might be good to build some relationships
Right.
within the Amish
Yeah,
community.
that's actually a very good idea.
Give him a
want-
solid reason.
Right.
Like there's this girl that he's grown up with for his
Right.
whole life, and like his parents, and he's probably got lots of siblings.
Right. So
and-
do we just cut through a bunch of different ages, or do we go from the young one to like a teenager, and just do all the stuff there, and then go to the 18.
I think jumping around with ages just to show that the characters are consistent
Right.
throughout all these steps in his
Yeah,
life,
sure.
and just it's been that way
Right.
all
So
along.
okay. So scene 2 now he's like 10
Yeah.
or something.
Right.
And so he's sitting in school learning, and he's smiles across the room at this girl,
Right.
and they get reprimanded by the teacher for smiling or something
Right.
like that.
Maybe he's gotten in trouble in the past too, or maybe this can be a future scene. He's like drawing technology
Oh, yeah.
or something like that,
Right.
in his notebook. I don't know. Do they like? How do they? What's their school like? I don't want to.
Like a one-room schoolhouse type.
However it works, I'm sure there's some way that you
Right.
can.
Why was it brought up?
The teacher just
Maybe I don't know. Do
Um,
they do that?
I don't know, and let's just not do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, so he's now they walk outside the school,
Right.
and he's like talking with this girl,
Right.
and you find out that like they've been friends for a while, and their families are friends.
Right.
And then so after that, you see like him, like a bunch of kids nearby who are like maybe across the street or something, who are like not Amish, who are like playing with some video game or
Yeah.
something that looks really fun. And so this girl leaves to like go home or whatever, and you see him just like then looking across the street, and maybe he's like about to walk over to talk to them, and then like an adult like the teacher
Yeah.
or someone's like, hey, we can't go over there.
Let's go
Get you
home.
home. Yeah, like his dad comes or something like
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. The next scene, he's now, like 13, 15, something like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's say 15 so we can move this along.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So,
You can imagine there's like enough build
Right.
up here, but
he's now in trouble. Like he's in his parents are giving him a talking to or whatever.
right.
No, we have to start a little earlier because we need to get his family in here in like a heartwarming scene here somehow. Because you have to want him to go back to his family. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just like
I think it's difficult because there needs to be the tension of him like wanting to go all along,
Right.
but then making the decision to come back to his family,
Right,
and
there
that
has
needs
to-
to be a major.
Right. So I feel like he is a big family.
Yeah.
So his house is always loud
Yeah.
and very talkative, and his siblings are always playing around or whatever.
Yeah.
And so you see a lot of camaraderie between the siblings and his
Sure,
family,
yeah.
and you see the parents like doing a good job. Like everyone's like maybe there's like a dinner scene where everyone's at the table and they do
Yep.
like a prayer
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But
Right.
the whole while he's just annoyed by everything. His family's too loud. They annoy him.
Yeah.
The prayer's boring. He just wants to use all this technology. Cool. Okay, so we have a scene like that, right? He goes home.
Yeah.
They have dinner. You see all this heartwarming stuff, but he's annoyed with it.
How about for the trigger for making him change his mind to come back home? His dad dies and leaves him a letter that's like really heartwarming or whatever.
That's an interesting idea.
That's good. Yeah. He's torn between. So maybe he's the oldest in his family. He's got a lot of younger siblings.
Right.
Which I think that
That's-
helps our plot point of he's the only
Yeah.
one really in the community that's at the same,
All right, so
or not necessarily the only one, but like one of the group that's.
all
There's
right.
probably got to be.
So
a
I think
few
we're
of them.
jumping ahead a little bit. So
Yeah. All right.
anyway, so it's a family dinner, blah blah blah. Then after dinner, his parents pull him aside and they're like, "Hey, your teacher told us that you were caught with a phone or whatever, some futuristic cool technology
Right.
again."
Right.
And he's like, "Come on, mom, what? Like, that's what I
Yeah.
want to do." And they're like, anyway, they punish him. He's
Right.
mad. Blah blah blah.
I feel like it shouldn't be so harsh that there's any like.
Oh yeah, his parents aren't like mean to him.
Right.
They're just like disappointed in him.
Right, and there's like, he's upset that he's disappointing them, but at the same time, he's not sorry that he.
Right. He's like, why can't I do this? I should be able to do this.
Yeah.
And cool. And then, so we cut to a little bit later that night, and he's like sneaking out of the house.
Yeah.
And he meets the girl again. So you see the girl again.
Okay, so is she into the same thing, or are they just sneaking out? Like, is she also into leaving?
No. I bet no. He goes to her house. Oh no, here we go. He goes to her house.
Yeah.
And, like tries to like wake her up somehow. I don't know, throwing rocks at her window or whatever.
Right.
And then, but he wakes up the parents instead by accident.
Ah, okay.
And they come out and they're like, "What are you doing here?" They go back to his house. And,
They're like dragging
right,
him
yeah,
home,
and
you know.
he gets
Pound on the
scolded
door.
again by his parents, and he's really upset. And he just yells at them like, "I hate it here. I can't believe you're doing this to me.
Yeah.
I can't wait till I can leave."
Right. All right.
Cut ahead.
He's
leaving.
18. Yeah. It's the day he's like walking out the door, and his parents are sad, and he is like excited to go, but at the same time maybe feels a little bit guilty for being so excited.
See, I feel like at this point he's just like kind of an asshole,
Okay.
and he's like just ready to
He's
leave.
just like, get
He's
me
like,
out of here. Forget about it.
Yeah, forget about my family. I don't care about them.
Yeah.
He's just running around the house, packing up, and his parents are following him around and like trying to help him, and he's
Yeah.
like being really like agitated at them.
Yeah. There you go.
Is there
That's
gonna be
good.
like a fight where he starts yelling?
I don't think there's like
Yeah,
a
I
big
think
confrontation
at this-
here. He's just
at
kind of
this
like
point,
cold
he's just,
and
yeah.
it's just like, get me out
Like
of here.
he's got a little sibling.
Yeah.
Comes up to him and is like, "Wait, what's his? Oh, we don't have a name for him."
Oh man.
Alan.
Joel.
After Alan Turing. 'Cause
I think Joel is a
All
genuinely
right, his
good
name is Joel.
His
All
name's
right,
Joel.
So his little brother Joel comes up to him
Yeah.
and it's like, "Joel, goodbye, Joel. I'll miss you." And he's like, "Yeah, whatever." Like
Yeah.
everyone in the audience is like, "Oh," but then he's like, "Just whatever."
Then you have a part where his dad's walking away. Think about what you're doing, son. He's like, I
Yeah.
already have. And dresses him aside.
Anyway, so
They just like pulls him aside as he's going down the driveway, and he's
should
like,
the little brother be, like,
remember
saying, like,
where,
goodbye,
you
or
know.
should he like be asking him not to leave?
no, I think he's
well,
just
he's
saying
supposed
goodbye. I
to
think
leave at
that's
this
a-
point,
yeah.
right?
Oh,
Like,
that's right,
even if he was
yeah.
a good Amish person, he would be leaving at this point.
Right.
So there's got the floating car taxi outside. He brings all his stuff out, which is not very much stuff.
Right.
And
Got like one bag.
his parents like give him like a quick hug, and he's just like sitting there like, "Oh,
Whatever.
okay,
Yeah.
whatever."
Get me out of here.
And he's like, "We'll miss you. See you in a year." Blah blah blah. He's like, "See ya, suckers."
Taxi pulls away. There's just like,
And it's
you know,
just-
the,
and then-
the family standing there,
And then it cuts to him in the taxi, pulls away, and just like this like music starts. That's like
Yeah.
like party music.
oh yeah.
And now is the montage, right?
Right.
Rolls down
He
the window. Just like wind.
actually I don't know if we can have a montage yet because we still have a lot of movie left.
So I think this part does need to go kind of quick because it's like a full year, and there's not a whole lot going on action.
Right, but you don't want a
set
montage
up.
in the very beginning. You don't want to just show him like going to strip clubs or like movies or whatever.
You don't think so? I think this is the time to do that.
No,
right?
You do want to show him doing. You do want to show him doing that, just not like in a montage.
I think
Because you want to show him. You want to show him, like at least in the beginning, you want to show him meeting by chance this like executive of the company that we're talking about here.
Okay.
Who finds out that he's really smart and hires him.
Okay.
And then once it's established what he's doing for that year, like working and that's
Sure.
then you show the montage, him working really hard, him partying really hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
so-
So like he has no money in the beginning, right? So
How does that work? Like at the beginning?
I
what do
mean they do have money because they like sell.
I'm just saying though. What do they? Like, what's the typical? Do you just like go to a city and then like try and find a job or something?
I don't know.
All right. Maybe we can assume that there's like some contact in the city that they know
Right.
that they like, you know, they send.
So
Their
okay, so
relatives too.
he goes to this guy,
Yeah.
and the guy's like, "Hey, welcome. First thing you need to do is get a job."
Yeah.
And he sets him up with some like lame ass like minimum wage, which may be livable at this time in the future, but like crappy like.
Yeah. What if before we settle on that, I
Right.
think. So again, I don't know if this is realistic how this
Okay,
works or anything.
okay.
But
Before
it could,
you say that, only non-Amish people will be watching this movie.
that's true.
So we can dispense with the I don't know how realistic this is.
That's fair. Also, yeah, who cares? It's movies. So
Yeah.
So
The only
How
person
about-
who would be offended by it is literally incapable of watching this.
that's true. Okay. So how about this then?
All right.
He gets sent to like this person or maybe group of people in the city who's like the mediary between like working for a year and like the Amish people, and they like sit him down and they're like, all right, we've got a series of like aptitude tests that we can give to like help you decide what you might want to try and do for the next year. And he's like pretty good at everything, but he's like really excited about the computer stuff.
Okay.
And so he's like, for someone with no training, he performs better than you would expect.
Right.
And they're like, all right, well, we've got some contacts that we can set you up with, maybe that'll mentor you, and you can learn about these things and start to get more in depth with your interests here. And he meets with the people, and it's like a pretty menial position within the computer
Like
company.
it's like a data entry job or
Yeah,
something like
and
that.
so it's not like what he wants to do. He's like
This is-
on the side continuing to dream about like meeting people, and then there's
Okay,
like
sure.
a company-wide meeting or something, and like the CEO is presenting their new technology, like these robots that are and like we know in the future, like we know you and I know that it's not quite there yet, and it still needs that last step before it's like this.
Right. You
this
mean the
AI.
audience knows that?
No. Writing the movie now. It's not clear at this point. So
Okay.
so the Amish guy, Joel,
Yep.
he's like, yeah, that's what I want to be doing for this company, not this stupid other work. So
Right.
he like chases down the CEO after the meeting, and he's just like super persistent about getting into work on that project. And the CEO's like, yeah, sure, whatever. I don't.
Okay.
I don't,
Let's
fine.
take a pause. So first of all, I want to discuss his attitude throughout all of this.
Yeah.
So I feel like in the very beginning, he's super excited, right?
Yeah.
He's out in the real world. They show him going to like a McDonald's or
Yeah.
like, like going to a movie or something like that, like the first night. And as he's going to like take these aptitude tests, and as when he initially gets to his job, this whole time he's like pumped to like be in the real world.
Oh yeah.
And then once he finds out what his job actually is, they're like, just do this, and they're like super bored, right? Like they're like,
Yeah.
just you just enter this stuff, and he realizes it's just a whole grind. He's like, this is it. This is what I came out here for.
Yeah, this is the
And
real
he
world.
gets super disillusioned.
Yeah.
Now, I like your idea. Company party. CEO talks about the project, and he is into it. He chases down the CEO. What I would suggest is that the CEO says, "What? Who are you? Just some random data entry guy, right? Like,
Yeah.
we have our top engineers working on this. No way."
Okay.
So, but then, it's got to be like, I can't think of a good scenario. All right, you'll have to help me with this. But there's
Okay.
got to be some scenario where he is in the same room with the CEO, and he's in the all this time that he's been working his data entry, he's been picking up on like things from the other people on how stuff works. And so one of the engineers who's working with the CEO that he's also in the room is like can't figure out how to do something like
Yeah.
like maybe it's a presentation that's going wrong or something.
Right.
And he's like, here, just do this. And he impresses the CEO, so the CEO's like, wait, how did you know how to do that? And he's like, I just, picked it up. And the
Right.
guy's like, you're really smart, come work on this project. So, does that seem good?
Yeah, here's my maybe to flesh that out a little
right,
more.
sure.
My idea is he gets turned down by the CEO, like, who are you? He starts to learn, figure stuff out. Then he's like sneaking around and like watching the meetings for the thing to like, when he's on his breaks, he'll like
Right.
sit outside the conference room and like listen in.
Uh-huh.
And like they're in this super important meeting, and they're like missing this final crucial step, like you said. And the CEO's like, well, if we can't get this figured out, this isn't going to work. And the engineers are like, we don't know
what to
how to
do.
do this. And he like steps in the room and like, opens the door, and he's like, have you tried, like, hey, what about this? And the CEO's
Everyone's
like,
just staring at
everyone's
him
just
for
like
a
staring
minute.
at it. Yeah, it's like, who is the? All the engineers are like, who is this guy? And the CEO's like, wait a minute. I know you. There's like this moment where he's like, all right, if you think that'll work, you know, like he doesn't believe him, right? It's like, yeah, you come up here and prove it then.
Right.
You know, and all the engineers are kind of like thinking, well, maybe
Would that work?
actually,
Yeah.
you know, and so he comes up and he like,
They're all like looking at each other like, is this allowed?
yeah, everybody's like just, because like nobody knows who this guy
Right.
is, right? And so he like comes up to the computer and he like, I can't decide if he should just like know how to do it and like right away, or if he just like has the idea and like doesn't actually know the specific programming stuff to do, or
I feel like he knows how to do it at this point.
so he's like secretly learned enough to.
Right.
I think the more realistic way to approach this is he doesn't know shit. He goes to like the company's mixer party or whatever,
Yeah.
and then just runs into a bunch of engineers who are all just like gathered around in a corner by themselves or whatever.
Okay.
And he just like talks to them, and then he realizes what they're doing is actually really cool. And so he keeps asking them questions
Yeah.
about what they're doing. They start explaining, and then he asks like, "What are you working on right now?" Like,
Yeah.
And then they start explaining like a problem they've encountered.
Yeah.
And he just points out something that they've said earlier and be like, "But couldn't you be able to do this with that you just talked about in this and this and this kind of way?" And then they all just go like, "Oh shit, he's right." No?
I like the buildup of him like.
Showing him learning it.
Yeah, and also in that scenario,
Okay.
I think it's not as clear to make him like the guy to do it if he's just like telling some engineers and they're like, oh yeah, that would work, and then they just went and did it.
Right. Okay. Here. How about
I think it's kind of
how
important.
about this?
But then
So instead of just him like kind of like absorbing stuff from being on the job,
Yeah.
he becomes friend with some like lower level engineers.
Okay,
And so like in their off time,
Yeah.
he starts learning from them, like
Right.
how to program, like what everything is, and he asks them questions about like what are those important engineers doing, and they're always like, oh, we don't know, like
Yeah.
it's all a big secret.
Right.
And like, then like you said, he keeps kind of hanging around that. And so that kind of more explains how when the scene happens, he actually knows what he's doing.
Yeah, so he's at that point he's kind of snuck around enough and figured out enough, been taught
Yeah,
specifically.
he's been taught
'cause
the
he doesn't have a
details.
whole lot of time. This is maybe like, month 9 or 10 of his year by this point.
I think
Oh, I was not thinking that.
Nathan.
Well, he needs the time to learn though, right?
Right, I was thinking. Well, so I mean, the programming itself you can learn. I mean, it's hard to say for someone who knows nothing about computers beforehand. But if he's that smart, he could probably learn the programming in like a month.
Okay.
At most.
All right, so we're still in month like 3 or 4 maybe.
Just to give you like a general idea of why I'm saying that is because like it's relatively the beginning of his time there.
Yeah.
Like month 2 or maybe let's say month 3.
Yeah.
And so once he gets on this project, it takes him a lot of time to like fully understand the project,
Right.
what they're actually doing, and how to improve it.
Right.
And during that time is when we show
Okay.
that montage
So this-
that I'm talking about of
This
him being...
moment then isn't actually like the breakthrough. It's just what gets him on the team.
Yes.
Okay.
I
I like it. Okay.
Yes.
I have an alternative idea for a big deal. So he just gets close with the engineers
Yeah.
and like with that suggestion and whatever,
Sure.
helping them, and then they actually realize he's really smart, but the CEO is completely oblivious to this,
Yeah.
and so he starts skipping his own work to go help the engineers figure out their shit.
Oh.
And then one day, his supervisor complains to the HR that
Yeah.
he's not like showing up to his station frequently.
Okay.
And then his CEO hears about this coincidentally, and then gets really annoyed, and then goes like, "Where the fuck is he?" And then runs into the engineers like department or whatever, and then sees him just like solving some problem on a computer, and like all the engineering team standing behind him and watching him. And then the CEO goes, "What the fuck is happening here?"
That's an interesting idea too. I kind of do like the idea of instead of him like, sneaking around to the meeting and then like popping up and saying like, "Hey, I can do this," if like all the engineers have already figured out that he can do that, and they're like promoting him to they're
Okay.
not promoting.
So how about this? Instead of being friends with lower level engineers, he becomes friends with like the actual engineers who are working on the project.
Yeah.
And so from talking to them, he kind of learns a lot about the project and how to program and stuff. And one day they're talking about a problem, and he helps them solve it. And so like, wow, you probably know your stuff. And so gradually, he starts like David said, skipping his own work to go help them.
Okay.
So I like that, and so and I like the scene where the CEO walks in and all of the engineers are just standing around watching him.
Right.
My only thing I don't like is how the CEO just coincidentally hears that he's not there and is mad. Like, I feel like if the CEO just heard that a random data entry guy wouldn't care.
I agree. Maybe there's like some lower level supervisor who's mad. And like comes to find like some upper level person to get the authority to just fire this guy who's not doing anything.
Right.
But then runs into the CEO who has just like promoted the guy to head, not head engineer, but like the top level of engineering. And so like it's just kind of a funny like, I want you to fire this guy, and it's like, fire him? I just promoted him.
Right. So how about this? So the guy's helping the engineers. The CEO walks in and is like, what's going on here? And all the engineers are like, dude, this guy just knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's a natural.
And the CEO's like, okay, do you want to work on this project? He's like, hell yeah. And he's like, all right, you're hired. And so then you see him and the CEO walking out, and the CEO's like, come with me to my office. So he and the CEO are walking out of the room, and his other supervisor seems like, it's like, Joel, what are you doing away from your desk? And he's and the CEO is just like, this is the smartest guy in the company. Shut the fuck up. I mean, he doesn't say those exact words, but Anyway, so that's how that scene goes.
Hey, get back to work.
Right.
Get back to your menial job. All right. So
now he's in.
Yeah.
So now we can show the montage. Him working with the engineers. Him working really hard at night by himself. Also going to strip clubs, going to movies, gambling.
Oh, yeah.
All this. He's getting paid super well now.
Yeah.
So he can just do whatever the fuck he wants.
Right. He's made it.
Right. So that's our montage.
All right.
What? What did he say?
He said, "Oh, this is the podcast."
Oh yeah.
Just realized what we were doing.
All right. I don't have a ton of time. All right. Here we go. Let's finish this up. So, finally, after the end of that, we're in a scene. It's late at night. He's in there by himself.
Yeah.
You see him typing on the computer, and he's like breathing really hard. He presses like run, and there's like a blinking cursor shows up, and then it responds to him.
Yeah.
What am I?
Right.
And then I don't know exactly how that conversation would go, but it's like it becomes clear that he has made this program sentient.
Right.
Also, at some point earlier, we have to have established that this company makes robots and that it's reasonable for him to be trying to write an AI for these robots.
Yeah, I think
that's what the project is.
Right. I think that's a reasonable thing to have done along,
right, like in that big
parallel
party.
with. Yeah.
In that big party, it has to be like the CEO talking about how their robots are really advanced and they're working on an AI, like a true AI that will make their robots.
And there's like all these investors there.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you can see it's an AI, and everything's going great. Like he tells the AI is doesn't turn evil or anything. It's just just starting out. It doesn't really know what's going on.
Right. So he becomes friends with it.
Right. Okay.
And then there's.
We're missing one. Okay. How about this? He makes the AI, and then realizes somehow that the company has nefarious purposes with this AI.
Okay.
And so he hides it. He pretends that he hasn't made this AI. And as a result, he gets fired from his job. They're there's no results. You're clearly just stalling at this point. Either get us something or get the fuck out.
Right. And also, his 1 year is coming up, right?
Right, exactly. So
he's gonna have to make a decision.
This is a month before he gets fired, and so he's lost all his friends, he's lost all his money, he's lost his job,
but he still has a laptop with this AI.
Right, he's just miserable now. And so as a last ditch thing, he has like a third-hand robot parts at his house now, and he just puts this AI in a robot.
Yeah.
So, and then he just falls asleep. He's exhausted.
Yeah.
And he wakes up, and the robot's gone. And he's like,
Even
"What
this
am I?
is gone.
Even
yeah.
this is gone." He's so
I
depressed.
just fine. I'll just go back home.
You can clearly see him throughout this part of the movie. You can clearly see him missing all the loudness of his house. His house is now just silent and empty.
Yeah.
You can clearly see him missing his parents' home cooked meals. He's eating like pizza or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
He does eat Hot Pockets.
You can clearly see that he's just disillusioned with all this technology now.
Yeah.
So he goes home. His parents are super happy to see him.
Yeah, they're glad he made the choice to come back because they were really worried.
They thought they were never gonna see him again.
And he's
just
okay, maybe I can be happy
right.
here.
He's just
like,
crying,
yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm so happy to see you." He hugs all his siblings again.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's gonna be the end of the movie.
Right.
Like, you just fade out on him like to white of him like hugging his family and crying.
Yeah.
Fades into a scene of him farming.
Yeah.
Hard labor. He's not used to it anymore.
Right.
And suddenly, this I just got to say 9 months later or something, right?
Right.
This robot comes, he just sees this robot and he's like, "What is that? It's a robot."
Yeah.
And he's like, so he goes up to it and he's like he doesn't know that this is the sentient robot he made. So he's like,
Right.
"Oh, who owns this robot?"
It's all upgraded from when he made
right,
it, so he doesn't even
but he
recognize
thinks it's
it.
just some random robot. He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, who made this robot?"
It's
What is
from
it
the
doing?"
company, so he's kind of annoyed that it's...
Yeah, it's like did somebody misplace their robot? So
Yeah,
he
these
opens up
jerks.
he opens up the back or something to, I don't know, maybe look for ID or see what kind of robot it is. It's like, what is this? I've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah.
And then the robot starts talking to him and it's like,
Yeah.
"Joel." He's like, "How do you know my name?"
Yeah.
And then the whole conversation, you realize that the robot has been looking for him for all these years after it realized that he left. Once it kind of understood reality, it went back to look for him and he was gone.
Right.
So it's been looking for him and it's finally found you, and he's like, "You can't be here. I'm Amish now.
Right.
You have to go away."
Get out of here.
But you can't go back to the company. He's conflicted, right? Because he doesn't want
Yeah.
the robot to fall in the company's hands. Okay, we're a small leap away from our climax here because the company somehow has to have gotten hold of this AI, right?
Yeah. So maybe they did. Maybe it went back to them.
Oh, right.
And then they sent it to find him, to bring him back now that they know that it's working.
Right, and they had been lying to it this whole time. They want to use it for this nefarious purpose. But they need him to do something final to complete it.
Right.
So they've been telling it that they just want what's good for him, right? They go find him, bring him
Right.
back here so we can, have him finish this. And so the robot thinks he's doing the right thing. It's like, "Okay, just come back." And he's like, "No, I can't." The robot's like, "I don't understand." So he's like, "You just have to go." So the robot goes. Really sad now. The robot is sad because
Right.
its creator rejected it.
Right.
He goes back to farming, and it goes back. And it's like, all right. So then the engineers who are there, the CEO's like, this is bullshit. We need him to come back.
Right.
And he's like, make these robots fighting. And,
Right.
And they're like, I mean, he doesn't say that. That's lame. But they're like, what? And they're like, he's like, do it. And they're like, okay, and then so they
All
do
right,
it,
yeah.
and so then they send it. We're just speeding through because I have to leave in a minute.
Right.
They send this army of robots to him. He sees them coming. He figures out what's happened, or no, maybe one of the robots escaped before being transformed. So the robot
Yeah.
comes and warns him.
Yeah, that's
And
a good
so
idea.
he tells all the Amish people there's robots coming. We have to feed them. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
The army of robots come. The Amish people fighting robots sequence.
Oh,
the
yeah.
Amish people. Crush the robots.
Right, because,
And the CEO is super mad, and then we have to have some coup d'etat for him to, say, once and for all, you can't make any more of these robots. Maybe he...
himself into a robot?
No, I mean, I feel like even though the company would still have it,
Yeah.
like maybe he writes some like virus or something, and the whole time the people are fighting, he's like in the back, like writing this virus,
Right.
like I need to finish this virus.
Right, and then he sends it to like the Amish people are about to like
all they
get
have,
overwhelmed.
all they have is this old like Windows 10 computer that's like dusty in the dad's attic that it's like secretly
It's like,
had
come
this whole
on,
time.
Come on, he's like, yeah, this
It's
is
like
garbage.
the
It's so
spinning
slow.
dots.
Yeah. There's like a Windows update at some point.
Searching for. Oh, that's so good.
It's like, no, just turn it off, and so
Anyway, he's
I think
writing
the climax is like he manages to just disable all
right.
the robots.
Yeah, like the robots are closing in. Like the Amish people have fought valiantly, but there's
Yeah.
just too many robots and they're too
Yeah.
advanced. And as they're like about to like kill the people, and then they just all shut down.
Yeah.
I think
They all happily ever after. I have to go.
All right, we will continue this later.
Yeah.
Let's do a quick outro here. So that's I don't know.
Yeah.
Do we
All
have
right.
a-
So
we don't really
we'll
have a
flesh out
thing.
the end more in our next podcast.
Yeah, we'll talk about this next week.
Well, we might just do a quick like addendum. Maybe
Some other
between-
time,
before
sure.
Next week, but
All right, sounds good
thank
to
you
me.
for listening. This is our podcast. I'm Alex.
I'm Alex.
And this is
Joel, and bye.
Bye.